Hi, this is Drew Tignanelli. This is our October 2024 update, fourth quarter 2024. I'm a year ahead of myself.
Yeah. Oh, 2023. You're right. I was just going to go with it because we're on camera and I'm not thinking.
That's okay. We're going to let that blooper stay in there and we're going on. October 2023. But you know what? Before we even say the end of this video, we'll be in October 24. That's how fast time flies.
And by that point, the most important thing is, what are the girls going for Halloween?
Yeah, at that time, that's what you're concerned about. What are they going to be this year for Halloween?
Moana and Hermione. You don't even know who Hermione is?
I don't know either of those, and I don't need to know. As long as you know, that's all that matters to me. Anyway, well, Mike, interest rates on treasuries and short-term and long-term are hitting highs that haven't been seen since 2000.
Yeah. Yeah, the 3-month treasury is up to 5.498 as of the time we shot this, which is, it hasn't been that high since the year 2000.
Yeah, in 10 years, I think hit their high in 2007 or 8 or 6 or something that it hasn't seen. So, and you know, here's the fascinating thing. Those are normal interest rates. What we experienced for the last 10 years were abnormal interest rates, way low. Federal Reserve pushing them down.
You tell that to somebody who wants a new mortgage.
Yeah, well, you know, hey, tell that to the seniors who tried to get a little interest on their savings in CDs and bank accounts for the last 10 years. So for 100 some years, that's the interest rate they would get. It's 3, 4, 5%. And when you took out a mortgage, it was 4, 5, 6%. When I took out my first mortgage, it was 12%. And I was excited when I got 5 and 6%, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, the people who were getting 2, 3% interest rates, you know, it was an abnormality, and they should be ecstatic that they've got them now and keep them as best they can.
So when we do these market updates, one of the things we're attempting to do is kind of take the top market topics, the things that we think have the most impact, or tell you the things we don't think have an impact, and kind of give you the stance where that is. So everybody listening to this has heard us for over a year now just bring up the Fed every monthly video, and that's no different today. So the current outlook is that you know, rates are at this level, and the current outlook is that they're going to stay at this level. The Fed does a lot of positioning because they want the markets to digest whatever their actions are going to be as far forward as possible, so that they don't cause any, you know, short-term gyrations. And right now there's a, you know, little instability, a little rockiness, or a little shakiness in markets because the markets are saying, hey, interest rates are here and they don't look like they're going to take them down. And then that's also able to be seen, as we said, through the 3-month treasury, short-term where it is, but the 10-year is at 4.5%. And what does that signal? Well, that signals like, hey, you know, we're 10 years out and we're saying 4.5%. We're seeing high rates for quite some time now.
Yeah, but the Fed also does a lot of bluffing.
Yes.
You know, they try to talk markets in one direction or the other. And they also have proven many, 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 many times that they have no clue what they're talking about. They're really guessing in a lot of ways. And I take them serious because what they do seriously impacts the markets.
Right.
I don't take them seriously in that what they say, they actually have a clue as to what they're doing. But anyway, that's another topic, Mikey.
So some of the other things that are out there in the market is home prices are continuing to increase despite the cost of lending, even though, you know, it's a mortgage payment on that $400,000 house is going to cost you much more than it did before. Americans are still going out there and still pushing the real estate markets higher.
Yeah, but they have slowed down tremendously.
Picked up 0.6% in July.
You're talking prices?
Prices.
But, you know, that it just depends on the area too, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see. You know, it's definitely slowing down. It's not nearly the movement that it had been. But I hear what you're saying, that it hasn't stopped them totally.
So the other big theater production that's going on right now is in DC, where a bunch of clowns are putting on an act. And by the time this video is posted, all of you out there in the future, this is September 26th when we're shooting this, you'll know whether or not we had, I think this will be our 4th government shutdown.
I don't
The
know.
4th or the 5th, I can't remember which, but yeah, markets are waiting to see what that does. I mean, I say this not as a predictive tool, but you know, clients especially, totally understandably, they see this looming thing, this government shutdown or whatever the scary thing is this month, you know, that we'll have, or next month that we'll have, and they go, well, shouldn't we sell? Shouldn't we sell? And the answer is neither yes nor no. It's, well, you know, just because you think that this government shutdown is going to be a terrible thing, and it's never a good thing, doesn't mean that markets will turn down. So historically, in the 12 months following a government shutdown that lasts 10 days or more, the S&P 500 has made a median gain of 18.9%. I was not trying to sell the S&P 500 fund right then. I'm just trying to make the point that, you know, because something is scary and on the news doesn't mean that it will, you know,
Actually, Mike, look, and our listeners need to remember this. It's very important. If it's on the news, the markets already know it, okay? And it's going to have no impact on the markets other than for an hour or two, maybe a day at the most, okay? Because that's the way markets operate. They operate on news that's not known, not on what is being preached on the television. And that's a very difficult concept to get your head around, that markets are thinking 6 months out, not what you're seeing on the television today.
Right. And my last kind of point to share about the government shutdown is that it doesn't actually save any money. For whatever period of time they shut down, certain workers will stop being paid. But once the shutdown is over, they all get retro paid back whatever they would have made. So it's disruptive. It has a minor impact on GDP, depending on how long it lasts, but not going to have a large, shouldn't have a large market impact.
Yeah, but you have airline strikes, you have auto strikes, and you have Hollywood strikes. And when they're striking, they're asking for more money. And so it's going to continue to exacerbate that inflation issue that, you know, something that we are thinking about. And we're you know, looking at what should we do different based on those inflation issues. But, you know, we can't control what the markets do on a day-to-day basis. We can be as best prepared, diversified, and so forth. But what we can do is we can do some great planning for clients, lowering taxes and things of that, which we know we can accomplish. And all we have to do is X, Y, and Z.
Third quarter, or fourth quarter rather, I'm sorry, fourth quarter is one of the most exciting quarters of the year because we don't have to do tax returns quite yet. But now is the time for us to hear from you and try to do all the planning like Drew's talking about before the end of the year happens, for all the things that have to happen before the end of the year. So, Drew, one of the things we wanted to really reach out to our clients and ask is that, you know, if you have an atypical financial event, you know, we don't know about it necessarily unless you tell us. And, you know, anything that's going to dramatically change your income up or down are the types of things you really need to talk about with your advisor.
Yeah, the classic ones. You had a loss in a business, a big loss in a business. You had a piece of real estate you sold that you're losing money in. You had big medical bills, such as maybe big dental bills, or even the most typical, somebody's in an assisted living or long-term care facility and you're paying those bills, and that's a deduction on your tax return. Or here's another one. You moved into a life care facility, okay? And the money you paid into that life care facility is a tax deduction for medical deduction. And so that's an atypical event that we need to know about. And we're going to consider Roth conversions for that type of situation.
Yeah, something that's not always intuitive is that while certainly it's good to let us know if you have an event that caused you to have a lot of extra income, there's less you can do with a lot of extra income, but there's so much you can do with losses. And some of those losses, if we don't do something, we just lose all of the potential of tax money we could have saved in the future by if we lose that loss. So
Yeah, and another one that we didn't even mention is you're just going to have a low income year, real low income year. You know, maybe you retired and you just didn't take any money out of IRAs or something. So you're going to have a really low income year. These kinds of things we need to know.
So, and you know, let's say you have a really high income year. Well, if you have a really high income year and you have a required minimum distribution, maybe this year you give your next 5 years or 10 years, you know, worth of donations through a QCD to lower your income over there. It's also the time of year to consider 529 contributions before the end of the year, if that's something that you're interested in.
Yeah. 529s, qualified charitable distributions. It's the time of year where you get your required minimum distribution. If you do give to charity, remember, always give from IRA first to charity. That's the best way to do it. And if you're required to take the money out of the IRA anyway, and you're going to give money to charity anyway, it's the absolute perfect way to do it. So,
and you're over 70 and a half.
You have to be over 70 and a half. Don't ask me why 70 and a half, but you have to be over 70 and a half. And, you know, Mike, also, let's say you didn't pay in enough estimated taxes. There's another fix to that one too.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite things because it's kind of like a little magic tool. So this is the time of year to go back and make sure, go look at that letter we gave you last year with your taxes or through your tax preparer and see what required quarterly estimated tax payments was I supposed to be making, and did I do it? If you find, oh, I didn't do it, there's two things. You can say, hey, can you guys check to make sure you really think I needed to make these? And then B, if you're in you know, the age group where you can take money from your IRA, if you do take some money from your IRA and we withhold it for federal and state taxes, it gets counted as if you had given it evenly over the entire year. So it's a great way to avoid any underpayment penalty.
Yeah, it's a strategy that we use quite often if necessary. We also have been excited about the last 3 or 4 months. We've been doing Flourish Cash. We've been telling clients for 5-10 years now, get an online savings account, get an online savings account. And I was always astonished at how few people actually responded to that. Well, now we can actually set it up for them through Flourish Cash.
Yeah, so let's step back just a little bit on that topic. So for many, many years, Drew especially has been infuriated by people keeping larger sums of money at brick and mortar banks because they pay almost nothing. So as an example, I have on my monitor the current interest rates for one of America's biggest banks, a big bank in America. So they have their pricing broken up about 9 or 10 tiers, and it goes standard pricing, gold pricing, platinum, platinum honors, diamond, and diamond honors. And over that whole, and each of those is broken up with over 2,500 and under 2,500. At the beginning, we start at 0.01%. And if you get all the way to diamond honors, 0.04%. That's
amazing. And Flourish Cash is paying 5%.
Yep. And Drew, I know Flourish is especially great because it allows us to facilitate that transaction for the clients. You were saying in the commentary that's going to be coming out with this quarter's billing that, one of the drawbacks is it may take you 3 days to have your money transfer back, right? And then what was the other drawback you mentioned?
It's online.
Yep.
But most people are doing all their banking with their bank online anyway. Most people are doing bill pay. Most people aren't going to the bank depositing their check. They're taking a photograph of their check. Very few people walk into banks anymore. Yeah. And let me tell you something, Mike. If you're going to get 500 times higher rate of return on your money, you got $100,000 in the bank and the bank wants to give you $10 and you're going to get 500 times that, $5,000. Wouldn't you say, I'm going to figure out how to do it online.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest things here is flourish or no flourish. You've got these brick and mortar banks paying almost nothing. I looked at one of the second biggest bank, I think, and it pays 0.15% compared to
5% even right now.
5% even right now.
Right. And even if you did take our advice and go out and get a online savings, maybe you're using Capital One or Ally Bank or Marcus, the beauty of Flourish, and keep in mind, we don't get a nickel on Flourish Cash. We're doing this strictly as a value add because we want to encourage our clients to get a online savings account because it's so much more powerful than the brick and mortar. But if you're doing Ally or Capital One, I would still encourage you to leave them and go to Flourish because we have some capability to help them if the client has a problem. If they have a problem with Capital One, Mike, I can't call up Capital One and get any help for the client. But we can call up Flourish and say, hey, this is what's going on. What can you do to help?
Yep.
I think that's a great thing. And I hope our clients, and the cool thing is they just say to us, hey, invite me to Flourish Cash. And we send them an email and we can fill out most of their information for them. And all they have to do is finish it. It's that simple. It's that great. 500 times more.
Absolutely. You sold me already.
Now, Amex and Capital One, they're at like 4, 4.25, 4.5.
They're one of them's at 4.6.
Okay, but I just saw Capital One yesterday. It was 4.3. And Flourish is at 5. And we have the ability to intercede and help with customer service if we need to. It's not what we're looking to do. We're not making anything off this. But if a client has a problem, they can come to us and say, can you help me?
But if nothing else, just please don't leave money at the brick and mortar bank.
Don't leave money at the brick and mortar bank. And lastly, Mike, I want all our clients to realize that if you haven't gotten a copy of the Financial Physical, just let us know. We'll send it to you. We priced this book to that everyone would get it. Now, but if you're a client of ours, we'll give you one. Just let us know. We'd love you to get a copy and you can learn about why the consulate is the consulate. How did we get here? And some great tips at the end of each chapter. 3 tips on psychology, financial planning, and investments at the end of each chapter. And I can't tell you how many clients have asked me, do you have a book that I could read? Or do you have a book I could give my kids? Or do you have, what do you think would be? Well, here it is. It's the philosophies that we've been building for over 40 years now, especially in the last 15 or 20 since we really built the team up with people like yourself. And, it's here. If you want it for a friend, you can get it on Amazon, $5.99 a copy. It's really priced to sell. What do we make? 25, 50 cents when we sell the book?
Probably something like that.
Something like that, So, but if you're a client of ours, if you haven't gotten one, we want you to get one and we'll get it to you. And then when you finish reading it, just pass it on to somebody or keep it. And if you want me to sign it, I'll sign it. I don't understand why anybody wants me to sign their book, but I'm more than happy to.
We like you.
Anyway, you make me blush here, Mikey. I think we're finished, right?
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. I never celebrated Halloween, you go out and you Halloween and you came back and that guy that gave you the apple, that's the one you always thought about. Why did he
razor in it?
No, back when we were kids, they didn't put razor blades in apples.
That actually never happened. That's an urban myth.
No, actually, it did happen. Actually, I believe I'm fairly confident that's a true story.
Well, Drew, when I was a kid, there was a house in the neighborhood, and he was a dentist, and he gave out toothbrushes and toothpaste.
I would have definitely egged his house.
Later on in life, I ended up going to high school with his son, and I was telling this story, and he looks over and he goes, "Was it this road?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, that was my house."
Anyway, this is Drew Tignanelli saying God bless.